Hey guys, this is John, and I'm playing damjan04 in the 5-minute pool on ICC. I'm playing a double king pawn opening. I usually play knight c6 against bishop c4 just for simplicity's sake. Granted, they can play f4 now and take it into like a Vienna sort of game, which I'm not up on this theory, but as far as I know is like fine for black. So, all right, knight a4 is interesting. Maybe I should have prefaced bishop g4 with a6 so I could preserve my bishop. But we'll try to make the best of this. So what to do here? Do I let him take on c5? Probably not. I could play a move like queen d7 or something, or queen e7. That might be interesting. Now let's just go back. Let's just keep it simple. I am surrendering the bishop pair, but hopefully I keep a solid structure in the process. I wasn't sure about allowing knight takes c5 and then having to take with the d-pawn. I don't recall playing damjan04 before. Just looking at his stats right now. Peak 5-minute rating of 23-24. So I'd like to play knight d4 next if I could. That's one reason I didn't want to play bishop d4. I wanted my knight to occupy that square. And bishop d4 looks strange compared to bishop b6, so he's thinking a little bit now on this move. I hope he's not lagging. Nope, he's not. Now I would expect takes and then c3, something like that, or takes and then h3. Against take and then h3, I can take on f3 and then play knight d4, although he can park his queen on f2. Maybe I play b5 then. If he plays h3 prior to taking on b6, I would do the same. I would take, and then I would play knight d4. Because then there's no queen f2 available, or at least I wouldn't think so. Maybe. That would allow discoveries that look awkward, but are probably not so good for black, like knight b3, knight takes b6 can be played. I really wonder why he's thinking so long right here. I mean, I'm not lagging or anything. This doesn't seem like a move you'd really want to think too long on. This is weird. Gives me time to assess the position a little more. I'm guessing something came up and he's away from his keyboard right now. He had to address something. Or he intends to show that he can spend half his time and still beat me. This is so weird. Yeah, not really sure what to say. There's nothing to say. Okay, finally he's back, and finally he plays a move. Alright, so we've been gifted a huge time advantage. Let's just play h6 now. I expect him to play h3. I could have played knight d4 on the previous move too. Maybe we should have thought about that a little bit more. Because now he can play c3 if he wants. The only problem with playing knight d4 is that for knight d4 he can take on e5, and if I take back he might have bishop takes f7 as a tactic. So that's why I was hesitant to play that move. Queen d7. Looks okay. Let's do it. Because now if I ever want to play bishop e6 and he takes, I can take with my queen. That's a nice point. Nice bonus behind that move. Okay, so here, if I take with my knight, he'll take with his. Because he'd be attacking my queen, he wouldn't just be hanging his queen. If I take with the bishop, he'll take with the pawn, most likely. That seems critical, though. Taking with my pawn would be the most normal. Let's do that. There's no tactical problem with this now. Because bishop takes f7 is not working at all. Okay, bishop b5. So maybe he is trying to arrange knight takes e5. Guess I can always play queen e7, huh? Yeah, let's go queen e7. Just waiting for him to throw in h3.
Check.
He hasn't played that move yet. Finally, he does. Now, to trade or not to trade? Let's not trade. Let's just go here and see if he wants to play g4 and open himself up. Queen's coming to g3. Kind of want to take now. Let's take now. I'm just worried my bishop is going to get shut out after queen g3, bishop g6, and I might have trouble with knight h4. I like taking now as opposed to the previous move, because at least he has to take with his rook. He can't take with his queen. And now I'm going to go here. This is my idea. And if he plays like queen g3 to attack my g7 pawn, I'll play f6 and try to put a bunch of pawns on dark squares. He can check me on g6, but I have queen f7. Granted, it might be tricky to castle now, but I think I'll manage. Maybe knight f8 is playable, trying to come to e6. It's a good square for the knight if I can get it there. Let's do that. The time advantage is going to become relevant soon. It already is. He's creeping up on just a minute left. I could castle queenside. That looks more reasonable than castling short, because notice if I had castled short last move, he had bishop takes h6. So I didn't want to do that. c3, yeah, he's probably trying to break in the center. Let's just go here. c5. All the pawns on dark squares. Make it real tough for his bishop. Yeah, I think he's intending b4 as a breakthrough, but I'll castle now because I can take on d3. Or if b4, I can just swap and then play king b7 and try to get a rook over to a8 real quickly. I think that's probably what I'll do. And d3 will still be weak. He's just not going to make it with this amount of time. He basically has to play bullet now, and he's not moving at bullet pace. And the moves just... This is a point in the game where the moves like don't even matter. Let's just take and do as we intended. Occupy the A file. Let's go queen here. Just I d3. I'm still going to try to play good moves. I'm not going to mail it in necessarily, but maybe rook a4 was interesting to try to take over the file. But I think I can take over the file regardless. Yeah, now he's got weaknesses. He has d5. Let's bring our knight to g5. I can take this. You can give a check on e8, but I have king b7. Let's go here. Yeah, what can you say about this resulting endgame? I mean, it's probably... I don't know. I like black's position. Maybe I had knight takes h3 on the last move. He could take on h6 then. I like my position a little bit more. I think my queen is strong in the center, and I think my queen and knight have a better chance at coordinating than his queen and bishop. Somehow his king seems slightly exposed as well. Let's just see what the engine says. Yeah, quarter pawn advantage. You can see that one decision he took so long on basically was the game in this one. Let's go back. This is still kind of instructive. So this bishop's opening, that turns into kind of a Vienna with knight c3, and then white postponing the development of the kingside knight so they can place it on f3 only after the pawn has been on f4. Sort of like a queen's gambit idea with c4 and knight c3. There's some theory here. I'm just not sure of it. I'm not sure if I should play bishop g4 first or if I should play a6 to stop the knight a4 move. Let's flick on the engine. Engine does say bishop b6. I mean, it's hard to believe that black could be much worse here, if anything. But h6, yeah. Says I should maybe take on f3 right away. Okay, so if I do this move, I was worried about f takes e5, because if I take back with the d pawn, he has this tactical idea. It's worth remembering. When you're developing a bishop to g4 and pinning your opponent, don't just assume that because it's a pin, nothing bad will happen to you. You can still run into tactics like this. And that can ruin your day. And then he gets to take on g4 and he's winning. So that's why I didn't want to play knight d4 directly. I guess after takes, it's a good point what the engine is saying, that I can throw in bishop takes f3 now. G takes and then take here. I'm a little hesitant to get into these 2 knights versus 2 bishops battles. The position could become open. It has that potential. You can see the engine likes white. c3 followed by f4 is one good plan. So I think I just played queen d or h6 here and queen d7 just to keep the tension. Computer says castle, yeah. My plan of delaying castling worked out well in the game because I was able to castle long. Not sure about bishop b5. I don't particularly like that move for him. I think the bishop belongs on its natural diagonal where it's currently at. So queen e7, because he might be threatening knight takes e5. Like, let's say I were to just castle. Does this work? I guess not. I guess I have knight takes. It probably works better if my king's on e8, so that if knight takes e5, knight takes e5, he can play bishop takes d7 with check, so I don't have time to go take his queen. But that said, castles looks okay. Looks like a reasonable move. So, okay, bishop b5, queen e7. Check. He took, I took. And here I played bishop h5. I could take on f3 right away, but somehow, subconsciously, I don't know if I thought about this consciously, but subconsciously, I didn't want his queen to come to f3. I like taking on f3 more when his queen is on e1. Because let's just say I had played something normal looking, like let's say knight d7 in this position. I was really afraid of knight h4, or queen g3 first. And let's say I play like bishop g6 and then knight h4. This looks awkward to deal with. The pressure on g6, my bishop can't move for fear of losing the g7 pawn behind it. And the knight will have a nice choice between taking my bishop or jumping into f5, depending upon what I do. Like queen d6 tries to hold the bishop, but yeah, he has this nice choice. Probably he'll come into f5 later. So that's why I took on f3 now before it becomes a problem. He took with his rook. I like knight d7. I accept that I'm not better here, but the plan of putting all these pawns on dark squares, now that he has just a sole dark square bishop, is a nice one. And my knight can maneuver around at will. Knight f8 seems to be a useful move. It keeps his queen out of g6. The knight can come to e6. Yeah, at this point I would take black. I think it's much easier to play my position. And the knight has been rerouted to a useful square. I thought maybe he should make an attacking gesture on the queen side. Like let's say after knight f8, like maybe a4 right now, just to keep open the option of a5. He probably should bring this rook back too. I don't think the rook is going to do much on f3 anymore. He might want it to defend his rook on a1 if a skirmish breaks out on the a file. So knight f8, c3, knight e6. Yeah, and here I castled, or actually I played c5 first and then castled long. Yeah. He went here to defend the d3 pawn. King b7. It's just too easy to play black's position now. Even if I'm not obtaining like a huge advantage, though the computer thinks black is better, with the time circumstance, my position's completely safe. It's just over. Even multicast is not going to save this position for white. Yeah, this is done for. Let's see if I could have played something better. I mentioned rook a4. Maybe this was a more sophisticated move. If I try to come in down the a file, like double up my rooks. He does have d4 though, so the computer's saying maybe I should address that threat by playing rook h d8. But if he takes on a8 and I take back, he can play d4 anyways, right? Queen b5, I guess, hitting the rook. So I can keep some advantage. Yeah, I'm not going to be looking for that when he has 13 seconds left. This was simple enough. Yeah, here I took d5, he took f6. Got in here. I guess queen e5 would have been good to defend both of these. I saw queen d6, but I also saw that he could do this and then take on b6. That's why I didn't play it. But queen e5 would have been a good move to save both of those. I guess he has maybe this
Check.
Move. King b7. Can he do this? Or do I get too much play? And my knight and queen coordinating caused him problems. I've mentioned this in previous videos, but the reason why people always say a queen-knight combination is better than a queen-bishop combination is because the queen and knight complement each other, whereas the queen and bishop reproduce the same squares. So a lot of times with the bishop, you're not getting any added value to that combination because your queen already moves like a bishop. But with queen and knight, obviously your queen doesn't move like a knight, at least in conventional chess. So you have the best of everything. Basically, you have the working combination of a rook, a bishop, and a knight all rolled into one. So, yeah, he went here. I played king up, take. I guess knight takes h3 is possible, because what happens if he takes here? Knight takes g1, and then just go after this pawn? Okay, and then I have two connectors versus his single pawn. I just played this, and as you see, still a persisting small advantage for black. All right, so unfortunate time management from my opponent. Well, I shouldn't really say time management. He probably just had to step away or something, but who knows? You just never know what compels people to take time in an online game. Hope you guys enjoyed this one. I'll be back tomorrow with another Blitz game. Thanks for watching, guys. Bye.